And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster, touching base with you as I do every day. How are you doing? I'm with my buddy in crime.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
So today there's two things, major conversations for our wonderful Let's Talk Water Cooler Wednesday. So if you're just joining, it's our Water Cooler Talk Wednesday. This is what we do on our Wednesdays. We talk about whatever's in the headline. Well, it's really not the headlines. It's pretty much what the community wants to talk about. But I thought I would throw it out there. One is Pharrell. What is going on online with Pharrell Williams? People are blowing up the spots. They are chiming in. I'm going to share some of these comments from different folks that have been like, Pharrell, you got to get together. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm curious to how you guys feel about it, or even if you have heard about Pharrell. And then the other subject that's big and huge in America, the release of the Epstein tapes and mail, everything, files, everything. And it was a unanimous Senate vote.
Besides one,
almost a unanimous Congress, except for one holdout, one Louisiana congressman that held out. Don't understand the reasoning. I mean, if you see everybody else is voting for this thing, why would you be on the wrong side of history? Anyway, that's what's in the news today. And people are really talking. You know what? Say what you will about Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG.
Yeah, that's.
Let me tell you,
we are really living in a bizarre world.
We are living in the world of bizarro. Because yesterday she did a press conference, and again, the girl is making sense. It goes to show you when you feel your job is on the line. Now, yes, we can say, like Don was saying, you know who she is, but you have to say she's on the right side of history, and that's all that matters on this subject.
Yeah, I'm of two minds with that, but I want to go back. I want to go back to where
your other mind on it, but we'll do that after.
So let's get into these hellos.
Okay, so today is Hump Day. Is it Hump Day? It is.
Yeah, it is.
It is a Hump Day in America. Hump Day in the world. Okay, here we go. Hannah says, I'm reclaiming my seat. Again, I am the gold holder, and I will stay the gold. Hannah says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. And Chris says, I am not that far behind. I got a silver. And she says, Chris says, good morning. And then, hey, y'all. She came in with her bronze. She says, Grand Rising, Ron, and everyone.
So you want to see something funny? Yes. I don't see those two comments you just read. I don't see them in the thread.
You know why?
Why?
Because Hannah is using a vertical device. So Hannah's probably on her phone right now.
Yeah, but Chris R is on a mobile device, and I can see it though.
Yeah, you can see it. I don't know.
The first two, I don't know. Well, we know there's a lot of stuff going on in the background.
We'll figure this new format out. But both of them are on their vertical tools.
Okay.
So it's saying that doesn't mean it's true. Hello.
No, it is.
Or maybe they're on both. Jazzy says, good morning, beautiful people. Jazzy Jazz. And Chris says, good morning, good morning. Hannah says, good morning. Brian says, what is Brian saying this morning? What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, everybody? Happy Wicked Week. We're 2 days away. Yeah,
I think this is a typo. We're 2 days away.
And then we have Hannah saying, everyone saying getting love to each other. And we have the wonderful Lisa says, let's all send some prayers for our Touch Base Daily family member, Gwendolyn, who has had a close family member pass away. We love you.
Oh,
Hold. How did you get that? And I didn't get that information. Wow, that must have happened recently. Okay, gotta reach out to her. I gotta reach out to her today. Okay, definitely. Thank you, Lisa. How did I not get that information? Elise says, "Good morning, everyone. Good morning." And Bryson also says again, he says, "What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, everybody? Happy Wicked Week, because tonight is part one. Tonight is part one. Tonight on NBC, because Wicked for Good comes out on Friday."
I think he's trying to say that they're putting part one on NBC tonight to lead into Thursday, which is going to be the release of For Good. Because this is the big rollout week, and they premiered it in Lincoln Center, New York. I believe it was on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So all the Wicked folks, all the people that love Wicked,
and from what I hear, it's a great conclusion. Everyone walked out in tears and cheering.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check out the new Wicked. Hannah says she's laughing, and Chris says, "I switched devices."
Yes, so we can tell.
She switched devices. Now we can see that she's on a regular feed. She's on the landscape. So if you're on a smartphone, our platform knows when you're on a smartphone and automatically put it in vertical form for you. And if you are on landscape, like your laptop, or it's on your television, it will go into landscape. Okay. Lisa says StreamYard should merge the comment sections. I think so. Maybe they're going to have to work on that, because yes, in two different locations, there are different, comments, and which I'm sure they'll work it out, because I'm sure everyone's saying something about it. Good morning, Kimmy Kim. Philadelphia is in the house. Philly is in the house. And Bryson got a lot to say today. Look at that. Bryson says the red carpet for Wicked for Good, which was the last stop at Lincoln Center.
Yeah, it was actually pretty epic. They transformed the whole entire center area of the Lincoln Center into like the world of Oz, and banners on the buildings, and
wow.
it was really nice.
This is what I will miss about New York when I'm traveling, is that I don't get that. New York is the only place that does it over the top. I mean, just like spectacular.
Yeah. Everything is big. Everything is big.
Everything is big in New York. So I miss being there to be able to
parades.
I almost ended up downtown and here in Charlotte was going to photograph the protest, because there's Nia's mom goes to a particular bakery that has been featured on the newscast, and he closed down his bakery because of the ice. But the ice is left. They've gone. They left. Yesterday they were supposed to be shipping out, leaving. They are gone, supposedly. And it's so sad that most of us these days, I heard Corinne from the old press secretary for Biden. She says whenever she travels around, she carries her passport now. And I have gotten into the habit of also, my passport is with me at all times, because this is just the way we're living in America. And I see here, I was going to say what Hannah said. Good morning to all the Touch Base Daily family. I cannot see on my side of the chat world. Really?
They're doing something weird.
So let me turn on. Oh, we got somebody in the building. Somebody has walked up to the doorstep and to the door, and it looks like it's our Elise. There's Elise. What's going on?
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
What are you up to?
It's Wednesday.
Up to these days?
What's all my? Well, art is always there.
Art is always. Art is always on your mind.
I'll do another artist talk tomorrow night at 9 Eastern Standard Time, because the artist is on the West Coast.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Will it be
Yeah,
on Instagram or will it be on YouTube?
it's gonna be on Instagram.
Okay.
I haven't gone to the YouTube world, but yeah.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's all. Not yet.
Not yet. It's gonna be on Instagram.
Okay.
So looking forward to that, and then just meeting a lot of amazing people in the art world and hanging out. That's what I've been doing. That's where my love is, and watching all the craziness unfold and in the world.
The world is like a whole nother place. Yesterday, I had a great opportunity to go out. We celebrated Winter's birthday yesterday. So we went to this amazing Cantalia or something restaurant here in Charlotte. And let me tell you, the food was incredible. I'm going to need to get my bike out again, go hiking again. I'm going to have to go for my walks. I'm going to have to do it all to stop. I'm gaining too much weight. I got to figure this out, how to work out while I'm traveling, because
just walk.
Yeah, I just need to just get out and walk around. And it's been, but we had the food last night was incredible. And I don't usually eat breakfast early in the morning, but I only ate half because I'm trying to be also disciplined to not stuff. I was still stuffed. I ate half of it. And then this morning I had it for breakfast. Lasagna.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, at least you're not wasting food.
I didn't waste any food. I don't believe in wasting food. I come from a household where if you had a morsel on the plate, boy, there are people starving around the world. Eat that last. That's how I grew up in my household. But anyway, let's see. There's some more comments in about Dr. Tachi is in the building. Oh, Dr. Tachi, if you want to pop in on this, you might be. Oh, this is when we talk about Pharrell Williams, you may want to come on board. Well, I'm sure you'll have something to say. Photo Ken Art is in the building. He says, "Good morning, everyone. So good to see. Also, if you're in the building, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. If you want to subscribe, but make sure you hit the like for sure." Chris says, "My iPad shows vertical as well." Oh, so you got both. Nice. I don't have an iPad. Anyway, that's another story. And Dr. Tachi says, "I'm on both streams." Oh, yeah. Okay, I got the message from Gwendolyn just now. Okay, there. She just sent me a message. Okay. We miss you, Gwendolyn. We're praying for you and your fam.
Yes, actually, she just sent us a text message.
She just sent us a text.
Yeah, Gwendolyn, we are thinking about you and your family right now, and that's what's
love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send love your way.
And she said, "I only text because I know Chris will check his text."
It's true though. It's true.
Because Ron just kind of like keeps moving on. And you notice I read the text. He's trying to get better, but yes, normally I'm the one. Yes, Chris is the one that takes care of the text. So we have also Bryce is on a
he's busy today.
Just bring your tissues with you because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
Also, I take it. Hold on, Bryson. Did you go to the premiere on Monday? I know they've had a few. They had one yesterday somewhere else too. But I'm curious to know if he got a chance to go see it already.
I need to see Wicked.
You never saw the first one?
I didn't see. I have not seen any of the Wickeds.
It's only one.
Wicked in the Broadway, but I haven't seen the Wicked.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Wicked movie.
People who have seen the Broadway play, once you see the movie, you love it even more. It's something, there's something extra to it because there's things you can do in a movie that you can't necessarily do in a Broadway show.
I love Wicked for its the selection of the songs.
Yeah,
the songs are so empowering. I find like there's several songs in Wicked that it's like I'm embodying the song, and I feel so victorious when
Do you have Peacock? I think it's on Peacock. Yeah, it's on Peacock.
I have Peacock here.
Watch it today. Watch it. I mean, you can watch it on NBC, but then you'll get all the commercials. Just watch it straight through. It's a good watch, and it's really, really good.
Trish, your Jamaican accent almost came out on that. Watch it.
Well, every once in a while, Oh, your accent just came out.
I slipped through the cracks.
Yeah,
I
every
didn't.
once
I
in a
was
blue moon.
I was waiting for Mon after. Mon.
Yeah.
Watching
I've never
Mon.
seen it
Watching.
either, Ron. I haven't watched Wicked yet either.
Yeah, I haven't
You
done
guys
it.
would enjoy it. You would enjoy
I'm
it.
gonna look at it today. I'm gonna definitely look at it today. Cass says, "Blessed Wednesday, all." And good morning, good morning. I see good morning. I saw the news today story. Ronald is in the building. What's up, Ronald Thomas? The husband,
Hey,
the hubby is in the building. And Elise, okay, good morning. Wasting food is a sin, says Dr. Tachi. That's why we as we're nice and full. I'll say no more. Okay, see, Dr. Tai says, "Give me 5 minutes." Okay, we'll get Dr. Tachi on board on the Pharrell conversation, and because it is really, I did not expect Pharrell's comments
well, speaking of comment,
to get such traction. We're gonna go in. I'm gonna show you the
okay, I was gonna
conversation.
say, okay, because I was gonna
Already
read his
set up.
quotes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And then I'm going to also share the responses of several individuals that went all in. And I have to tell you, as these individuals were talking, I kept hearing. For those that don't know, when Elise is in Brooklyn, she and I get together. Now, the first time we got together, Elise gave me some real good insight on the world. I can always give her flowers when she's with us. And she said, "Ron, we have to stop supporting people, these rappers, these musicians, these music people that are against our community, that don't support our community, that are not in the corner of the community, that are, and as I was hearing all these other people speaking last night and this morning, I kept hearing Elise in my head. I was like, "God," I said, "God, I can't get Elise out of my head." Elise was like echoing in my head, and it's true. We have to support people. If people show who they are,
Believe them.
they are not supporting our community. After the Black community, yes, Hispanic community, people of color community, poor white people community, middle class white people community, but mainly our community. We pay for those tickets. Our community made them who they are. God love the white folks, but white folks didn't make Pharrell. I mean, it was the Black community that gave them the stamp of approval for the rest of the country to start following them. And then you turn your back on the very people that sponsored your music, went to your concerts, paid their last dime for most of these people. Because I know when we were younger and we went to these concerts, most people were saving their lunch money, saving their allowance, saving just to get to that one concert. And you turn your back on the people that supported you and made you who you are.
I mean, I think. Go ahead, Elise. No, go ahead.
So, I'm going to remind you all once again. You need to understand the caste system in this country.
Yes.
The caste system is not just about what white people do. It's about what Black people do with money. The ones who have money, who believe that they are no longer a part of you, that the proximity they believe they get from the money. At the same time, though, you take Pharrell. So Pharrell has to understand that he was put in place because he was a Black person and could get these Black people to spend their money with a company.
That's right.
Period. Not because he was such a brilliant designer or anything else. It was about how do you get, because Black people were starting to drift away from some of these these brands because of the some products they've been putting out. That's not that. So so they reach into these bags and pull these people out who have some kind of name in a community or I would say some a platform, and they put in. And so because of the money, our caste system is in full effect. And so when you look at caste and how it's set up, it's actually set up to stack that way. And that's a part of what they use. They use the Black people with money to help keep the community where they want it to be at the bottom.
Yeah.
They always do. And he came out and showed that politics, Bob, your body is political. Just because of the color of your skin. So to say you don't choose side, you choose a side. You chose a side when you made that statement. You gotta be honest about that. When he made that statement, he chose a side.
And here's one person speaking about it, young lady. I am Nikki Free. I love her platform. And here we go. Oops.
It ain't creativity, because Pharrell Williams has officially floated off into a fantasy world where politics are a magic trick, division is just a misunderstanding, and picking a side is somehow the problem. Let me be crystal clear. Only a Black man protected by wealth, fame, and proximity to whiteness can afford to talk like that. Because the rest of us, the people whose communities get bulldozed by policy, whose healthcare, housing, education, voting rights, and literal lives are shaped by legislation, we don't get to hate politics. Politics happens to us, whether we participate or not. Pharrell said he despises politics because it creates division. No, division was created for us. Redlining created division. Mass incarceration created division. Jim Crow created division. The Voting Rights Act being gutted in 2013 created division. A Supreme Court handpicked by extremists created division. Choosing a side isn't the problem. Pretending you're above the fight while the rest of us are bleeding from it, that's the damn problem. And then he said people shouldn't support a startup because the founder is Black. They should support the best. Baby, Black founders have been the best. We've also been the most innovative, the most underfunded, the most overlooked, and the most gate kept. Support based on identity is not charity. It's correction. It's repair. It's leveling a playing field that was never leveled to begin with. And while he's telling celebrities to shut up about politics, let me remind you of something. Silence is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. Silence is how we get voter suppression, book bans, anti-Black policy, and extremist judges reshaping America for the next 50 years while celebrities float around in I don't pick sides la la land. Pharrell has the reach, the power, the visibility, the influence, and instead of using it to uplift, he's using it to detach. We don't need detachment. We need clarity. We need courage. We need people with platforms to understand that politics is the difference between having rights and losing them. So no, Pharrell, you did not drop wisdom. You dropped a cop-out dressed in designer linen. Because at the end of the day, I don't do politics is just another way of saying, I'm good. Y'all figure it out.
Wow.
I so agree with that statement. And it's just like it's just like the person who says, "Oh, I don't vote because it doesn't affect me." Like, you don't participate, but it affects you and it affects everyone below you. I'm actually really disheartened by his comments. And then I noticed in the chat, everyone's talking about this. I was going to bring this up earlier, but Nicki Minaj is another one. She's actually probably even worse than he is. She's, outright just supporting the Orange Menace, talking on his behalf, propping him up. I'm just like, girl, something's not right with you up there. Like, you seem very unstable. And here's the thing. She has a lot of a diehard, dedicated fan base. They call themselves the Barbs, where she can do no wrong. I'm curious to see what their opinions and their thoughts are in responses, because the people that support her are the ones that come from our community that are less, and a lot of them are even less fortunate. And, all of this administration's, what they're doing is against us. So now, how do you support someone that you say you love that supports someone that does not love you?
You're right. And her latest thing is absolutely absurd. So you know, maybe I don't know, Ron, if you've seen her clip, but the latest one is ridiculous. I know Omar said he wasn't sure. And not was it Omar? Someone
Yeah, it
said
was
that,
Omar said he didn't hear.
but
But
Parrell said.
well, Pharrell, so we'll go on Minaj because I mean, it was interesting that Chris went to the same suit. We talked about Pharrell, and then he was like, "Well, let's talk about also Minaj
because she's worse. She's
and,
worse. Hold on. I think someone's at the door.
Yeah, someone's at the door. What's up, Dr. Tachi?
Good morning.
Said I'm ready.
I am. How are you all?
We're
Good.
good. Your wheelbarrow, because you are about entertainment. You also were part of his program.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a good program helping people and building the community on that level. But that statement, and before you speak, Dr. Tachi, I just want to do one more clip because I think this is also good. Hold on a second. Let me just get this clip up, and you'll see. Here we go. Let's get this clip up real quick, and then we'll talk about. Here we go. Okay. And let's share it. And here we go.
The front of the room. If you're not Pharrell, you know what it is. Keep scrolling. Come on, nigga. This is not it.
I hate politics. Life inspires them. It's a magic trick that it's not real. I don't believe in either side. So I think when you pick a side, you are inadvertently supporting division.
We, as Black people, do not have the luxury to be apolitical. We don't have the luxury to say, oh, the system is a magic trick and I'm just going to ignore it, which is probably really easy to do when you have millions of dollars and you live and work in Paris. But in America, our rights as Black people are under assault right now. We don't have the time. We don't have the luxury to be apolitical. And we definitely don't have the time to be like, both sides are the same. They are absolutely not.
Now the diversity's off the table, now equity's off the table, now inclusion's off the table. So that makes me ask myself, okay, so how do we survive? Well, are there Black people here tonight? Yeah. And in your heart, do you think for what it is that you do and who you are, do you think you're the best? Okay, so do you want the job because you're Black or because you're the best?
This is a gross false choice between being excellent and being Black, or wanting to be chosen just because you're excellent and not because you're Black. Black excellence has not been the problem, or a lack of excellence in Black people has not been the problem in college, in hiring, in promotions. The problem has been white bias against Black people, sometimes overt, sometimes from biases those white people can't even see. The point of affirmative action and DEI was not to help Black people because we are not sufficiently excellent. The problem is white bias and making white people say, hey, you need to create diverse schools, diverse workplaces, because that reflects the country and is better for everyone.
That's the reason why you should support these businesses. Yes, they happen to be Black and brown, but it should be based on the thesis that we're the best, not because we are a total shade of a skin color.
Yes, we should support a Black business just because it's Black, because their success is our success. There is an inherent value in Black solidarity. I understand the historic challenges that Black people and women have had in opening and running businesses. So when I can support a Black-owned business, a woman-owned business, I want to do that. That's a valuable way of voting with my dollars. But this whole rant from Pharrell was very problematic and indicative of how the beats are awesome, the political knowledge is not so awesome. I need to talk.
Okay. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi. The floor is yours.
Okay, no, I was just waiting for the onslaught, so I said I'll step back.
We do have some, like Jazzy says, I want us to normalize not giving more fuel to these people when they say do stupid things, because their base will follow them off a cliff. Also, Omar says, I think we give these so-called celebrities too much credit. They are automatically self-centered and borderline narcissistic. They live in LA, they live in La La Land, and we expect them to be in our reality.
World without end, amen. Let me speak to Omar's point first, and then I'll go into this. I think we give celebrities way too much credence and credit that they know and will do the right thing. If normal everyday people can't, how do you expect someone who doesn't understand politics, who doesn't understand policy, and they just happen to be on a national stage? Why would they? That's the same thing that's happening now with all these idiots in government that don't know what the hell they're doing. Normal everyday idiots who don't know a damn thing about policy trying to run things. Why would we expect the same from celebrities? It doesn't make any sense. And the thing that we have to think about is we're all on board when a celebrity says something we like and it agrees with our ideology, but then when they say something stupid because they don't know this anyway, we're all up in arms. Well, where was the same scrutiny for the person that was saying what you agreed with? It was because they agreed with you. So we have to learn to be a little smarter when it comes to those things. Celebrities are not to be our mouthpieces unless they actually studied political science, law, understand, and there are some who do come from that world and they just happen to be celebrities now. The vast majority, no, that is not where they come from. So let's stop putting them up on a pedestal and expecting them to lead the masses out of Zion. That's not the whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Leave them out of Zion.
lead us out of the wilderness.
Exactly. It's not going to happen. So here's the other thing for those who don't know, I'll say this again. Yes, I am part of that whole cohort. I was part of the first cohort of fundable founders from the Pharrell Williams Black Ambition Fundable Founders Network. It was an amazing experience. I still have so many contacts and friends from that. So I will always be thankful for that. That doesn't mean that you cannot look at things and scrutinize and see when things either are wrong or don't agree with what you agree with. Now, here's the thing. I agree with everyone. That may not be a popular thing, but I agree with everyone. I agree that when you have a platform, whether it's right or not, especially as a melanated person, you have an obligation and a responsibility to speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves. You have a larger platform, and I think it is up to us to do that. I know not everybody feels that way, but I think you do have a responsibility. Chris Edwards.
I have a question for you. What was the name of the thing you participated in?
It was called, it's the Pharrell Williams Black Ambition.
Say it again.
Pharrell Williams Black Ambition.
Black. But he's the same one that just said he wants to be hired on his merits and not because he's Black. So why do you call your program? Why do you have Black in your program?
That's true. That is very true.
That's being hypocritical.
That is very true. So I do agree with that, especially if you're going to, because it could be parallel with the whole thing. It's not exactly parallel, but think about the fact that places like Target, places like whatever, used DEI as a way to make sales. Let's just say that, right?
Yeah.
That's what they did. And then the moment it was convenient, they reeled it back in like they were fishing in the swamp. Okay. Who fishes in the swamp? I don't know. Don't mind my idioms. But that's exactly what happened and what he did. So I could see how some people are looking and say, this is the same type of thing, right? Where you use Black Ambition. But, let's also remember it's not just him.
Yes.
There's a whole slew of people. It's his initiative, but there are a whole slew of people behind the scenes that I've seen that make this work, that believe in Black entrepreneurship. So that I happen to see. But I think it's problematic, to say the least, when you do have such views and you have such a platform. I'll go to what Toure said. It is he now lives mostly in Paris.
Yes, Paris.
He is the artistic director for Louis Vuitton.
Yes.
There is a different worldview that you have it never mind that he's from here, but there's a different worldview that you have once you get into the world and you see that everything is not just about Black America. Don't get me wrong. Anti-Blackness exists everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
But there's a special brand of anti-Blackness that is indigenous to America. That you don't see anyplace else. And I don't want to hear it from anyone because I have enough knowledge to know this is a very special brand of anti-Blackness. And the reason it works and it's so strong is because the US is such a powerful country. So that anti-Blackness tends to supersede what we see in other places. That said, I think we also have to realize that now he's coming from a very particular worldview where, of course, he hates politics. I say this all the time. I can't stand politics. I'm not saying this in the same way he's saying it, but I don't feel like being bothered with it all the time. Can I just live and be? And I think part of that is what we're hearing as well. So I'm just trying to dissect because it gets tiring being a Black person. Let me tell you the reason I went to Howard University. Because, of course, I always wanted to do Howard, but Howard is my graduate experience. Lots of people don't know that my master's and PhD are from Howard. Undergraduate, I went to the University of Buffalo. I got so tired of being a Black student that I wanted to go somewhere where I could just be a student. I exhaled when I got to Howard. I didn't have to be the Black student. I didn't have to be the president of the NAACP. I didn't have to do all of that. I could just be. And as a Black person, we are not afforded personhood because we are part of the collective. You're still a person. Yes. You're still a person, and it gets tiring to always think about being part of the collective, even though we owe it, especially if you're given a lot. It still doesn't change the fact that we get tired. So great. Now what do you want him to do? This is what I'm at. What do you want him to do? Because we have all this to say all the time, and I'm not saying what he said was right, not at all. But we have all this to say all the time, but then we don't have a plan, to Jazzy's point. We don't have a plan for how we want to proceed. And then we also have this, God forbid, but Bill Cosby syndrome, Oprah syndrome, Magic Johnson syndrome. Remember how back in the day I always asked, well, why don't we ask Oprah and Bill Cosby?
Right.
They're supposed to fund all of Black America.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
What the hell do you do then? So at this point, we're like, I see where he's coming from with this thing. Was maybe not well stated, but it's like, fine. So now what? We already know that you are not going to succeed in a society that is intent on you not succeeding. Even though Black is excellent. I don't know where the question was. There was never any question that Black is excellent. We are wired to speak different languages from our inception anywhere. So that's why you have so many of us speaking different languages. The most educated groups in this country right now happen to be of hue, Black women and Nigerians. Okay. Yeah. One is a Black immigrant group. So there. Okay, so Black being excellent is not in question here. But what we have to do is, with our Black excellence, do we keep begging the same power structures that don't give a damn about us? Or do we actually try and do something outside? And I do understand you pay taxes. We should have protections and we should do these things. But we don't. So now what? I yield because.
So a couple of things, right? Based on the pieces that came out of his conversation, right?
Yeah.
There's this whole thing around, affirmative action, DEI, and all, and how it always ends up just being a Black conversation.
Right.
And that drives me insane that it always just ends up being a Black conversation when we know who benefited the most were white women. I'll put that over to the side. And also poor white people. I want people not to leave them out because they were also underrepresented. So period. And then the idea of how it feeds into his comments about supporting Black businesses, feeds into the idea of Black businesses not being excellent.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that part, so I look at the statements, right? And I was listening to Isaac Hayes III because he addressed this a little bit as well. And one of the things he talked about, and we know this happens. No, I'm not talking about anything else. I'm just talking about this one bit because it happens in communities. I see it in communities with people from the continent of Africa, right? So it's not if say I have a business and I didn't do something well, instead of just them, the Jewish community just going outside the community, they go back to that person and say, hey, you need to fix this. I'm going to keep doing business with you, but let me give you the feedback and help with that way. We're not that way. We will throw each other to the wolves, or you'll make the statement like, well, I'm not going to try a Black business because of this or that. And not understand if they have something. Say if I do something, for instance, I bake cakes, right? So you want a cake and you come to me and say, $50 for that pound cake. Oh, that's a lot of money. So I like, okay, so I'm going to tell you where some good scratch bakeries are in this city. And you go and buy the $150 one they're going to sell you. That's smaller than the one I have and probably not going to taste as good because you decided that part, right? So, and so that, I think one of the big issues in that conversation was the fact of referring to it has to be the best and not giving credit to the fact that we had our own communities that because they were so excellent, they burned and they destroyed them.
Well, absolutely. Could I to speak to that? 100%. So to clarify, well, first of all, let me say that I was supposed to go live that day in person, but I couldn't because I had something to do. So I said, okay, I'll watch it online. So I heard all of that as it was happening. I was kind of like, okay. I was like, this is interesting. So I saw it as it was happening and it was interesting. And that was part of the problem with what he said that you mentioned, Ms. Elise, the fact that the assumption of it being Black already signifies that it is substandard. And that is it's a semantics thing and it's a language thing. We have to learn to fix language. Does that mean that there are melanated businesses, particularly Black businesses, that don't do what the hell they're supposed to do? Absolutely. But is that characteristic of all Black businesses? Not. Those are those few individuals. So here's the thing. I also charge us with this because we are the ones that go and say, oh, well, that's a Black business, so I'm never going to Black. We do that. We're the ones who do that. So, I mean, because I've been burned by some businesses. I'm like, I'm not going to you ever again. But that doesn't mean I'll never support Black business again because the same thing happens in other communities.
Absolutely.
It's just my favorite, one of my favorite professors from the PhD program, Dr. Richard Wright, says everybody wants to complain when something is Black and it leaks, but then nobody says, I forgot how he said it, but basically he said that people are always insinuating that it leaks because it's Black. He said it in some eloquent way. I'm not as eloquent as he, but that's the thing. Things are not inherently bad because they are Black, and we need to get out of that mindset. That's us, and we have to change that. That's nobody else.
Right. If I may interject, also, I remember one of my neighbors. I was growing up. We used to go to Black businesses to support when we were growing up, and if she saw something that was like they weren't doing something right, she didn't ban them. She didn't fight them. She whispered in their ear. I remember when I was growing up, she would whisper, "You could do better, baby. You could do better." And she would say something like that. And she'll say, this thing you got over here? Let me show you how to do it a little better way. I mean, she didn't.
But that's encouraging.
She encouraged, like when she saw a flaw in a business or a Black business, she didn't just attack it. Oh, I'm not going to go back there again. She literally, every time we would go somewhere, she would, "Oh, baby, you could do such and such." I mean, that's how she used to talk, baby. And I was always amazed that she never tore down the business. She always helped to build it up. So
well, she's more Christian than I. So
Dr. Sandra, you burn it down.
and I'm saying this.
Burn it down, though.
I know, not burn it down, but here's the thing, especially when it comes to certain things. Yes. So when we talk about contractors and we talk about things like that, I've had some issues before where I'm like, now because you didn't do it right, and it could have been anybody, it happened to be you, so you are in my path, so I'm talking to you as the individual contractor. I don't care who you are. Now I have to spend $200 extra because you didn't do it right. That's where the problem is. But that's not a black thing.
No, it's not a
That
black
is
Right.
that's just a thing
That's
by
just a
contractors,
thing.
because contractors can be shady as
Ooh,
hell.
All of
Listen.
them.
But it hurts me more because you are black.
Yeah.
Because
That's what
you're
makes
going
it
to get
worse. That's what
characterized.
makes it worse.
It makes it
Yes.
worse because you are going to get, I may let it slide, but somebody else won't. You are going to get characterized as this inept individual. Well, then guess what? Reflects on me. I'm tired of fighting your battles because you don't want to do well. Because I'm black, now I have to fight. All my life I had to fight. Just like this, okay? So
Cass
I'm
says-
tired of doing that.
Dr.
Be better.
Cass says quality versus quantity. When it comes to business, is good also qualitative and quantitative research should be done among our own communities to give valid information and data that apply.
Absolutely. But you know, a couple of weeks ago, I asked you all to watch the movie American Skin.
Mm.
And
Yes, sir.
it kind of, the comment that came in that movie was similar to what Dr. Tachi just said. And why the black officers, when they were quote unquote put on trial, how they answered the question about why they treated black suspects the way they did. Because of how they felt they were representing them. And so that's the same kind of thing. It's like being an educator and being in a class, and your kids have to go out. Now you all be good when you go out because you look like me, you represent me.
Yes.
How do we address that, and how do we deal with it in a more productive way? Which was always my focus especially dealing with seventh graders. It was always my focus at talking to seventh graders, and I think that's a part of it. And so one of the things we also have to remember is, and I had this conversation in my granddaughter's school last week. Systemic racism isn't about just white people. They're not the only people who treat black people or people of color a particular way. We do it. We see someone crossing the street, coming down the street, and we move away from those people. And some of us react the same way. We clutch a purse, lock a door, whatever. We do it too, because that's what we've been told a part of it is, right? And so, and Dr. Tachi is exactly right. So we see all of these things, hear all of these things. And Jazzy and I had a conversation. Thank you for getting rid of whoever that racist person was.
Oh yeah, I got rid of it.
Because
I'm on it.
Yeah, no, I was good today. I read it and I didn't say anything.
Listen, let's keep going. Let's not address it. We don't need to give it any energy. Just keep going.
That's what I said. I said I'm not going to give them any attention because that's what they want.
That's
but
right.
It is the what do we do and how do we move forward and how do we hear it, what they say, and then figure out what we're going to do. We have to be at the what we do stage, right? So how do we support each other? How do we protect each other and make sure we're protected for all intents and purposes? None of us wants to sit and talk about politics, but unfortunately, the policies that come out of politics really, really impact us, not in most cases now, not in a very positive way, right? So we don't want to deal with it, but how do we start to build and work on that? How do we start connecting the community? How do we start getting that message out? And how do we start actually doing something?
Yes.
While we're talking about it. And I think that's where we are, because these people like Parrell and Nicki Minaj, they're saying idiotic things with, and not even thinking about the impact of it. So, and I'm not saying that totally I see what Parrell was saying and doing. However, sitting there and saying some of the things that he said, the bits and pieces that I focused on were really the ones that have the weapons that they've been using against us. And they've been effective at using those things against us.
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Tachi.
Thank you, Ms. Elise. 100%. I think you were asking about basically what do we do now? Well, I think one thing, if we look at it from a media end, we inflate these things, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about them, but let's stop giving a platform and shine to people like a lot of the times when we discuss these things, and I do understand, because every once in a while I like a good think piece every once in a while, and I think it's important to talk about these things because these things exist within our communities. But then we talk about it ad nauseum. We continue to put it out there. We cement the narrative in the minds of the populace that this is the way it should be. And it sounds and feels very disruptive when we do these things. So I think from a media perspective, let's stop giving platforms to these types of things, to these types of people. The same, because then we'll have the people, oh, well, we don't want to boycott, like with Nicki Minaj, oh, we don't want to boycott because she's black. And so?
That part.
She didn't care about that.
She's a person. And this is another thing.
Right.
Just because we are black does not mean we are beyond reproach.
Yes.
Stop coddling people. Stop giving them, chance after chance after chance, because you're a human. And part of indecent, yes, I think it's amazing to be recognized for being black, but I think we're also human, and all of our struggles have been just to be treated as human in this country. Why are we asking for not beyond that in that sense, but why are we asking not to be treated as human as well? Right. That's what we wanted. That's what all the struggle is for. So let's treat them as human. And guess what? I'm not buying your whatever you have, because you've disappointed me.
Right. And we have to be willing to do that. We have to be willing to hold people accountable within our community. First of all, hold ourselves accountable in our communities, right? Yeah. And we so tend to, and I told, it's this thing I always say, let them get in trouble. Boy, they black. They blacker than black then, because they want us to rally. And I have long stopped putting things like in my story about these comments and stuff. They post, some people post stuff with no. If you're gonna post that and you're not gonna say anything, don't post that.
Yeah.
Then maybe just don't post it. Start posting some other stuff. I said that a long time ago. Yeah. Please don't recirculate this stuff, because we give it life. Our conversations, even this conversation, is given this life.
Well, I don't.
I'm not saying this. I'm just saying that when you see it on those things, we're having a conversation. A lot of times you see people who just post it.
Right.
They don't caption. Most people don't read those captions.
No, it's clickbait. I mean, most of the time people they just want traction. But we're having a conversation, and what's good about it, for instance, I believe that when we do see businesses of any kind, I mean, that we love to support. We love to support businesses in our community. When they're doing something wrong, we should go to them and say, "Hey, babe, like my the woman in my neighborhood." Just going there and helping them to become better, because they are in our community, wherever that bagel shop, that the diner, wherever it is. We have an obligation to them as consumers, if we really believe in what they're bringing to the community, to be able to go to them and say, "Hey, this is what I have an idea. You can do this probably better." Now they can accept it or not, but if you, as someone that is a patron, to go to that particular diner or that shop, or to be able to express, is a good thing, and hopefully they appreciate it. Because I know most of the people that when my neighbor did that, they were very thankful. And then you go back to the shop and see something different. You see a change. Well, I've done that with some of my. I learned that from my neighbor, that when I go into shops of people that I know, and I go to their shop all the time to shop, I will say, maybe wait, since I'm a visual merchandiser, I will be able to say things on how to do their windows better. I'll say, maybe you should think about this. Maybe you should think about that. And they will say, "Oh, Ron, thank you so much. I never thought about it."
Yeah, and you're not criticizing. You're just you're being critical, and you're just giving your opinion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with giving opinions. I love the fact that we can come on here and openly debate about these topics. This is a current event show, basically. This Wednesday, Water Cooler Wednesday. We talk about things that are currently in current events, and then we move on. You know, it might be a story that has long legs that we might talk about another day, whatever. But for the most part, we talk about it, see how people are feeling about it, get it in the conscience of people, because not everyone follows the news or pays attention. But it's good to have these open dialogues. But then you move on, and the question is, all right, well, you know what? How do you go past this? Do you support these people? Do you not give them a platform moving forward? Here's the thing. Pharrell Williams don't give two shits about me or anybody on the screen. We're not his demographics. Black people aren't his demographics. Let's just be honest with you. He is the creative director for Louis Vuitton. The people that uplifted him to that position can't afford to buy those goods. You know what I mean? And if you do, you might have a one-off, or you're looking to get a knockoff of a Louis Vuitton. But we're not his demographics. He's not speaking to us.
Yeah,
I don't know if I completely agree with that, but yeah.
No,
Because
no,
when you look at the fashion things he use, who does he use?
No, yes, he uses black, but guess what? But
I say that because Black dollars are a part of their demographic.
Yes, it is, but the majority of the people that are buying those clothes or those fashions are either wealthy white people or black people that have come up and have money. It's not your regular people around the way, girls and guys that buying the CDs and listen to the music and the fashion that he was doing before. This is an elevated brand. And I'm not saying we can't afford those things. You know, we can save up our money and buy those things, but it's not like a everyday. We got to worry about mortgage. We got to worry about rent. We can't be going out there looking for red bottoms.
You know what? And thank you. I can't stand those. Those
are worst shoes in the world.
And you want me to pay how much for them to be destroyed?
Absolutely not.
I think too that to your point of the demographic thing, when you look at any of these things, because the predecessor to Pharrell was Virgil Abloh, who was the creative director and founder of Off-White. They're very strategic in terms of who they select. So Virgil Abloh with Off-White is like one of the preeminent streetwear brands. Who does that bring in? That brings in a particular demographic of people that spend money. Because here's the thing, with luxury, it's the same old recycled money over and over and over. Why do you think luxury has been going down in terms of sales in recent years? Because after a while, you can only target the same population X amount of time before you have to find a new population of people to target. Wow. Well, let's bring in Virgil Abloh. He already has the streetwear thing on lock. Let's bring him over here. He can bring some of those ideas there. And lo and behold, not that this was the first time, because we could go back to the 80s and Dapper Dan in terms of what he did for the image of Louis Vuitton. But we see that. And then, of course, who's going to be the predecessor? Here's another person who is a maverick, not necessarily only in fashion, but music-wise, which feeds into fashion. So they're very strategic when they do these things. Yeah. So we are, in a sense, their demographic. Now, are we the preferred demographic? That's a different thing altogether.
A whole nother
I think that's the key right. I think that's the key right there. Right. Yeah.
And so that's why I said what I was saying is that we are a demographic, because they know how much money Black people
spend a lot of money,
over $1 trillion, right? You're one of the biggest ones that spend outside of their community.
Yes, right.
Absolutely. Circulation 6 hours in our community, right? So they know they can get you, and they know how to do it. And then I was having this conversation with Jazzy. I said, most people see that LV, right? I got LV, but they don't know that there's a purple line over there that you don't see. There are different levels to that company that we don't even know about. You go up there and sit in New York, and you go up on that second floor, you can find out what they are, because they'll talk to you about it.
It's the same thing with Ralph Lauren, the purple and black lines. We see the little green line in TJ Maxx, and we think we're doing something. And no, those are
go to Macy's and think you're doing something. Because
Exactly, because it's there. So if you, not to go down a rabbit hole, but the whole thing staying with this demographic, if remember the whole quiet luxury movement that kind of came up last year, If you don't know, quiet luxury was the whole thing of having clothes that were very nondescript, looking expensive, but you didn't see labels.
Yeah.
And that was really a dig at the communities who do like labels on their things, who do want to be blinged out. Now, I could never stand
I
that,
hate
but
that.
that's me.
I hate it.
I hate it. But that's me.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, you will not, unless it's my brand, you're not going to see me blinged out with, you know, a whole bunch of stuff like clothing and labels and stuff. But for those people who do it, that's fine. And I understand the reason those of us who do it, because sometimes that's the only thing you have. And I'm not saying that's right, but that's the only way you can show your importance, by saying, I can afford to buy this. So it's a psychological thing. And I'm not faulting people for that. But for you to say, oh, well, quiet luxury is directly slapping with the back of your hand those people in the face. And that's why I hated the whole quiet luxury movement. So that was that grew up as the antithesis to, I would say, the whole Virgil Abloh's being a directive the director of Louis Vuitton, creative director. Exactly. So just a little aside.
And what I told my children when they were younger, you know, and they thought kids wearing Jordans, right? So my philosophy is, if it has a symbol on it and you know who it is, I have just paid to advertise for somebody.
Yeah.
I am not paying to advertise for you. So if I wear your symbol, and that's the whole point of the symbol, so people know where it came from. I don't want that. One of the handbags that I like is an expensive handbag that I really like. Has no symbol on it. Has no symbol on it. And when I mentioned it to some black people who thought they really knew some stuff and they knew about LV and all that stuff, when I mentioned that, they was like, "What is that?" I said, "See, they don't have a symbol, so you don't know, and so it's not something that you can walk around and say, 'Hey, look at me, I got one of those.'" And that really is what it is. It's to look at me and I've arrived.
It's status.
It makes you feel good.
Like I have a Louis Vuitton thing up there I got in China, and it was definitely not. It fell off a truck somewhere, but I think, oh, look at me, I arrived, right? You can go to Italy and buy amazing bags in Florence or Firenze and with nothing on it, but they're better than what you can get here. You can do that quiet luxury, as Dr. Taji talked about, without any of that.
Here's something that I did not know. I mean, Lisa says this. I haven't done my research on it, but I stepped away for a second. But did you guys discuss that they stole the LV symbol from an African tribe? I don't know anything about that.
Yes, they did. You go to Ghana, you find out.
Really?
They talk about it in the museum in Ghana.
I did not know that.
A lot of the symbols on their some of these symbols were taken from African tribe, African culture. That's where they got them from.
I mean, that's not surprising.
I'm not surprised. I mean, how many of the fashion?
Then they steal from black African countries.
Well, you know, I've been, you know, when I was in South Africa, when I was, you know, living there for a short period of time, they used to have they have Fashion Week in South Africa, just like they have in Paris. So Cape Town has a Fashion Week, just like, and I do believe Johannesburg, but mainly it was Cape Town. Cape Town has a Fashion Week. And it's equal to Paris, is equal to New York, is equal to Milan. And you saw all of these fashion houses from all over Africa coming into Cape Town. And you would see all this amazing fashion that was not mainstream. Like in 2000, I was in Cape Town in 2017. A lot of that stuff was not part of the mainstream fashion world.
You don't hear about it.
The music industry somehow wanted to bring in like Davido and a bunch of other, you know, music sensations from the continent and bring them to America. But also what came to America was these fashion trends. Like I remember seeing I see fashion trends today that are on the runway that were already in Africa years ago. I mean, like years.
Because why does that surprise you though?
Or in different places that you see on, like if you go into YouTube and you see some of the African fashion houses that are not mentioned anywhere in America, but you see and say, oh wow, they just you know, I guess you could just say they stole that style from those Congolese, hanging out in it. Because you'd be surprised how much fashion is created with just everything, everyday stuff.
Yes.
And then someone from the West goes in and sees it, and then they say, great idea. And then they bring it back, and then they make their adjustments and improvements, or whatever you want to call it. But a lot, I've noticed that over the last 5 years. Well, really, yeah. 'Cause last time I was in 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I was in Africa living. So yes, I saw it immediately when I started seeing the trends unfolding in America when we had Afro punk, and how all of the fashions, they would come. Those things were in Africa years before you saw them here in America.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think though, I also we deserve a modicum of the blame, because it's just like with I don't even want to get too deep into it, but these bags, all this wonderful, the leather bags and stuff, we saw the whole expose that China did. Is like, oh well, we're making all the right, but then most people weren't even talking about, okay, a lot of the leather they get comes from Kano in northern Nigeria, right?
Right, comes from Nigeria, right?
So at some point, we have to stop being the exporter of raw materials and start being the exporter of finished goods, because that's the problem. They usurp us for all of our minerals, our raw materials, and then they will make things out of it. And not only will they sell it, they'll sell it back to us.
Yes.
Like it
Well, that was a big thing in Nigeria. I remember when I would visit my friends in Nigeria, and that was one of the biggest conversations, is that there were no refineries at that time. Now there is a refinery.
Yes.
There was no refineries in Nigeria. So what happened was the big corporations went to Nigeria, and they would drill the oil, because Nigeria found that they had oil. So a lot of African countries found out, Ghana, also Namibia, all these places now have oil. And in a lot of cases, more oil than the Middle East. So they would go in, and these companies would drill, like they say, drill, baby, drill, drill their resources, then take the resource and then sell that resource back to Nigeria at a price. I mean, it's their oil, but it had to be refined outside of the country, and then they had to buy it back. And
I can't wait for Europe to go bankrupt. I'm sorry, that's probably
huge.
Not
This is like in the early, this is the mid early 2000s. 2012, 2015. It was very big. I mean, the oil companies went in, they destroyed the lands, they destroyed the countryside, they destroyed the delta. They did all of this stuff. But on the same level, the Nigerians had to pay for their own oil.
And I think that one of the things that always kind of fascinates me in a way is that Africa is the richest continent in the world.
In the world,
literally, in resources, everything.
No one compares.
And they have been because of I don't even know if they all realize the impact of colonization and that's still there, where all of these people, they're inviting all these people in. Also, the Chinese gonna do this. No, Chinese are coming to do the same thing that the Europeans were doing. They coming in to take your resources.
And
they're coming to do all these things. And then when you have the one country over there, is it Burkina Faso?
Burkina Faso, yes.
When you have him and he said, okay, so we're gonna build a tomato processing plant.
Yes,
we're gonna do all these things and start keeping our resources here, which is why that's what they don't want you to do. They don't want you to become self-reliant. And we know that from our experience in America. When black towns were built and become self-sufficient and didn't have to go out and get any resources from them, they destroyed it.
Yes.
So that's why they want to destroy all of that. But realizing that all of these things that you have, all the cobalt, the copper, the gold, and all of those things. I mean, right now in Ghana, if you go to Ghana, they have England has loaned them the gold that they stole to put in one of their museums. And so you think about that and not understanding how rich you are and while your people struggle because they're coming in and taking stuff, and I think that's a part of that's what always fascinated me and confused. Well, kind of makes me the thing that makes me go.
Well, the good thing about what's happening, and people, if you have, I'm always following the news in Africa. I'm that guy because I'm that nerd, and also because I plan to live there in some kind of way. The new young leaders, I am applauding them all because they are not their fathers. They are not their grandfathers. The young Africans on the continent are saying, wait a minute, we have our resources, like Abram from Faso says, look, we're gonna create our plans. Or if you want these goods, if you want our materials, you will build us a refinery. You will build us a plant, and then we will send it to you. But we will own that plant. So they are now waking up to the fact, or for instance, and France is furious because all of the French-speaking African countries are waking up because their currency, no longer do the African countries want their currency printed in France, and then they get their currency, they have to pay for their currency to come back to their country.
Macron is big mad. He's sitting there like, qu'est-ce que c'est? He doesn't know what the hell to do.
So anyway, we're into another subject.
Sorry.
But anyway, I'm gonna let everyone
like you said, I think going back to what Chris said, it's about information and how we do information, right?
Information.
And to be clear, I don't have a problem with us having a discussion about things that are happening because we're actually having a discussion.
Absolutely.
I don't want to post stuff in my stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to post what somebody said that didn't make sense to me. I'm not going to give them, because we have to remember now, they don't care if it's negative or positive. They just want you to circulate.
They just want the clicks.
Without, especially if you do it without any commentary.
Context.
They're happy, right? And so I'm not into making people happy, but I am, I do want to have, and we know that Africa also is like the youngest continent.
Yes.
People. Their people are very young, and that's when people need to see people who speak, but they have all these old all these old leaders. They're like old 80s and 90s. But that's another topic.
Well, America's the same way, and hopefully
absolutely
America will wake up.
The House and the Senate just old.
Yeah, everyone is old,
and the president old.
These are people that want to hold on to power. They're of a certain generation. They gain power, and it's not just America, it's around the globe.
Yeah.
Old people that just want to stay in power. If you're 60 years old and over, move to the side. Let these 35, 30-year-old, and people, I always say, people forget the world changes. The greatest changes in our societies came through young people at that time. It happens that those young people got old and wanted to hold on to that power. But when you think about Martin Luther King, he was in his 20s. Then he died at 30, in his 30s, early 30s. Malcolm X, all these people, all these people that made major contributions to our society were in their 20s and 30s.
Right. And even younger.
Young minds, thinking, innovative thoughts. We need young people to step up to the plate. We, as the seniors in the world, we need to support them, encourage them, and embark upon, give them a little extra wisdom along the way, but let young people lead.
Right. Did you see Lisa's comment about the bag that they use over in Ghana and how Balenciaga is the shopping bag, the big one with you have all over New York. All over New York, you get those big bags, right?
They used to call them Ghana Must Go.
What do you call it?
They used to call them Ghana Must Go bags. So there's a whole thing behind that where in when there was like trouble and strife in Ghana, a lot of Ghanaians lived in Nigeria. And of course, whenever you have a large group, it causes problems. And so they were always walking around with those bags. And they were forced out by Nigeria. And that's what they put stuff in. So people started calling them Ghana must go bags, which is not good, which is not nice, but that's where it came from.
Wow.
And so you're making these things without understanding the history. Now, let's be clear. I think originally those types of bags come from like China or Bangladesh, something like that. Okay, so let's be clear, but there's a history now of what it was used for, and you were unaware. I'm not giving passes for people who don't do basic research anymore. I'm done.
Do the research. Do the research.
All the time.
So anyway, last words. I want to just ask you for your last words, and then we're out of here, y'all. It's hump day. Chris, last word.
Have a great week ahead. Pay attention to what's going on in the news and in the world, and make informed decisions. I will see you guys on the flip side because I'm going away for my birthday tomorrow.
Yay! So he will not be here on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, I won't be back until next week, so I'm going to enjoy this.
Enjoy.
I need the break.
Well, happy birthday in advance.
Thank you.
If you want to be a co-host to me since Chris will be gone, you can hang out with me tomorrow or Friday. Okay, and Elise, last words.
So my last words is this: we know what's going on out there. And we watch people who regurgitate it all the time. So now we need to start thinking about what do we do and how do we make people aware of what we need to be doing now.
Yeah,
like we need to be focused on places where people don't vote. How do we connect with people who can help get people to register to vote? What's happening? Who's going to be running against whom in 2026 and 2028? There are 33 Senate seats up next year. 20 of them are Republican.
Let's get them.
20 of them are Republican seats. And as you know, every 2 years, the entire House of Representatives is up for election. So people really understand Congress consists of two components, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Because I know people don't understand that. They think it's just one thing when the people say Congress, but it's the Senate and the House of Representatives that make Congress. And so just knowing that and understanding that, because I think we have to be proactive in how we start talking about stuff. How do we, those are the actionable things that we can do, and start educating people and start figuring out how do we play a role in even connecting with people who have platforms in those places, like Chambers down in Louisiana. How do we connect with Gary Chambers? How do we get to talk to people who actually have that? And I think at this point in this country, we have to think about history and what's been effective. The Freedom Riders. I think you do need people to be riding into the communities and talking to people door to door or in town hall meetings where you actually go into those communities that may or may not know exactly how they're being impacted and why. So those are the kinds of, I just think that we can start thinking about, because we're coming to the close of the year. How do we, because we can't wait until April and start saying, who's running against MTG or Johnson. Yeah. Someone needs to run against them. So I think, so those are my closing words. It's like yes, those things are happening and we're going to discuss what's happening, but at the same time, how do we start back educating again our community?
Yes.
So that they know, make sure they're checking their voter registry, all of that stuff. And my granddaughter will be 18 next year. So guess what grandma's going to do? We're going to register to vote.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to take her to do.
Dr. Tachi, last words?
In tandem with both Chris and Miss Elise, be informed, be educated, know what's going on. At the same time, take a respite from the news. You're no good to anybody's fight if you are always riled up and not well because you can't handle it. You need to take a respite from the news. Similarly, give other people a respite from these things. Be aware of what you're forwarding to people. Some people can take it, but sometimes you open your DMs and you've got 50 million things on Cheeto Satan and what he's doing now. That's too much. It's
much.
too much. So be aware of not always forwarding everything that you get that is about politics, because you don't know how that affects the other person. That doesn't mean don't be informed, but just limit what you do. Because just think about, all of us are getting so much of this every day, and that adds to it. And then finally, to Chris's point, do something that brings you joy. Even if it's something as simple as, I'm going to buy a new perfume or something like that. Do something that brings you joy. You are only good in the fight if you are good yourself.
That part.
Amen to that. And
I'm
also,
going to tell you, that's why I've been crocheting.
Yay!
It brings me joy.
Oh,
You know
wow.
what this represents? It's
there
all
you
going to
go.
be on something together. But that's what I've been doing. I've been putting my energy into crocheting.
Yay.
Also, Lisa says, quick question. Since Texas might get their seats struck down, does that mean we will be ahead because of California did theirs legally? This is true. However, it will at some point go to the Supreme Court. We do not know what the Supreme Court will do. We can't hold our breath that the Supreme Court is going to side with the people that are suing. They may just simply say, you know what, use those new gerrymandered districts. So we do not know. But however, if it is struck down totally, that would mean that California has put the Democrats ahead in doing it legally by the people, for the people, through the people.
And I think, one of the important things is one of those judges was appointed by the current administration.
By Cheeto himself.
And so, and it's not just a single opinion.
Yes, right.
And so they use the same thing that they try to use. They use those constitutional amendments.
There you go.
To justify their opinion.
There you go. So guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm not even going to go into the banners, but I just want to say thank you for joining us. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit the likes and make sure you subscribe. And we just have our conversation. This was a great water cooler. Let's Talk Wednesday. Good conversation, y'all. I'm so glad every one of you joined us today. And tomorrow's our Trend Watch Thursday, and we'll be talking headlines tomorrow. And Dr. Tachi, would you want to join me tomorrow, baby?
Sure, I'll come on tomorrow if you would like.
Dr. Tachi will be with me tomorrow, anchoring at the desk. So, guys, have a wonderful Wednesday. Enjoy yourself. I'm on Hump Day Wednesday, or Hump Day. I'm always about treating yourself. I'm a believer that you get halfway through the week, treat yourself, give yourself a hug, look in the mirror, give yourself a kiss, say I love you to yourself. I know you're saying that sounds whack, but you'll be surprised how hard it is for people to look in the mirror and say I love you to themselves.
I do it every day.
It is a hard task for a lot of people.
Every day.
Every day, look in the mirror and say, baby, I love you. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. It makes a difference in how you see yourself and how the world sees you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. We're out of here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. See you tomorrow. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.